Welcome to the Health, Safety and Environment Induction Program. The management and staff welcome you to their 3 companies. Whether you are a visitor, contractor or new employee, we hope your stay with us will be a rewarding and, more specifically, a safe experience. Safety is always of the utmost importance at these companies, especially considering the hazardous nature of the products and raw materials being handled. Working at these companies means that whilst on these premises, you must be fully aware of the rules and regulations and must adhere strictly to them. The law will protect you, but will also punish you if you don't obey the rules. Let's first look at the procedures for getting into and out of the companies, and some of the important emergency actions that you should be aware of. No casual visitor may enter the companies. All visitors may enter only by prior arrangement with facility personnel with the authority to invite visitors. To visit these companies, you must produce an official identity document or passport to the security guard at the company reception gates of SAPREF, Mondi or Engen. No alcohol, drugs, firearms or dangerous weapons are to be brought into these companies. No driving is allowed without a driver's license. Cell phones are not to be used whilst driving a vehicle. Firearms must be declared to the security guard at security reception. However, persons are discouraged from bringing firearms to these companies. All persons will be tested for alcohol content on every entry into the sites. Random drug testing may also take place. The results of these tests will be reported to the immediate supervisor as appropriate. The company reserves the right to search any person, container or vehicle entering or leaving the facilities. Absolutely no smoking is permitted, except in approved areas such as smoking pens. Cigarette lighters and matches may only be used in designated areas. We permit only metal lighters or safety matches to be used. It must be highlighted that the smoking of cigarettes is dangerous to health. Only radios, auto pagers, cellular phones and other electrical apparatus that are intrinsically safe will be allowed into the process plants of these facilities. This does not apply at Mondi. The taking of photographs or video material is forbidden. Cameras and recording equipment may be brought in only once written permission has been obtained from a nominated management representative of the particular company. If a vehicle is necessary to transport tools and equipment to a job site, a vehicle entry permit may be applied for at security. These permits are not easily obtained. Vehicles in the operational area should only park in recognized parking areas where provided. They must not be parked in such a way that they block any access or obstruct any safety or fire equipment. They are to be left unlocked with the keys in the ignition in case there is a need to move them in an emergency. This does not apply at Mondi. No vehicle is permitted into any operational unit unless a permit to do so has been obtained from the supervisor of the area concerned. When leaving the job for any reason, all equipment you are working with must be isolated and the area left clean and hazard-free. Cleaning up should take place at the end of the task or at the end of the day, whichever is soonest. The speed limit for any vehicle does vary from facility to facility, as shown in the HSE rules. We now turn our attention to the subject of occupational health and safety, which, as you can imagine, is of paramount importance given the products we manufacture and handle. It is mandatory for all personnel entering the operating area to wear protective clothing, as prescribed by statutory signs, as well as those prescribed in the appropriate regulations and procedures. This includes a hard hat, safety spectacles, steel-capped shoes or boots, overalls or substantial clothing that covers the arms and legs, and hearing protection. Other safety equipment, such as gloves, must be worn in areas where mandatory signs are displayed or whenever the job requires them. At Mondi, a hard hat can only be worn in certain designated areas. Signs are posted to make this clear. There are paper machines at Mondi which have moving parts and other hazard areas. Care must be taken in the vicinity of these machines. If the correct procedures are followed, no safety incidents will occur. Contractors must supply their own personal safety equipment. However, specialized safety gear is supplied by the particular facility for certain operations. On no account may anyone tamper with any plant or safety equipment. Only authorized persons may handle such equipment, no matter what the situation. Should a fire or other emergency situation arise, no persons must run or panic. Follow the instructions of your superior or the fire marshal. Under emergency conditions, all contract and maintenance work on the plant must stop. All the equipment being used must be switched off and isolated. Only vehicles directly involved in the emergency may proceed. All other traffic must pull off the road and remain stationary until the emergency is over. Remember not to obstruct hydrants or other fire equipment and access ways. The drivers of vehicles must leave the doors unlocked with the keys in the ignition before proceeding to the nearest assembly point on foot. This does not apply at Mondi. All personnel without specific emergency duties in the operational area must also proceed to the nearest assembly point or mustering point. Proceed calmly to the assembly point. Never run or panic. Assembly marshals will be in attendance to guide you during the alarm condition. Personnel outside of the operational area must follow the actions prescribed on the area emergency notice posted in that specific area. In the office block, people are to remain at the workplace and indoors unless directed by an evacuation marshal. No smoking is permitted anywhere in the premises during an alarm condition. If you were working under a work permit at the time of the alarm, you must return to the point of issue to revalidate your work permit. Be on the lookout for vehicles at crossing points and give them the right of way. As you are walking, be aware of any restriction or information signs and special safety requirements for that particular area. Never enter any area other than the one designated to your work or visit without permission. So then, what have you learned so far about being safe at the three companies? Each company has different emergency responses and other procedures that need to be followed. The HSE rules need to be consulted for the procedure of the applicable facility. You will need the necessary identification documents and permits to enter and work in these companies. All non-allowed items and equipment have to be declared and left with security. Personal protective equipment and clothing must be worn at all times in the operational area. A set speed limit is prescribed for each of the 3 companies. Vehicles must never obstruct any access way or safety equipment. You must never tamper with any process, safety or fire equipment. Absolutely no smoking is allowed other than in approved areas, such as smoking pens. Remember that smoking is dangerous to health. Upon the sounding of the emergency hooter, you are to isolate all equipment you are using and walk to the nearest assembly point. On the all clear hooter, you may return to your workstation subject to instructions from the area supervisor and revalidating of your permit to work. Walking in the plant area involves keeping to the right-hand side of the road, looking out for traffic, obeying safety or warning signs, and not entering any area where you don't have permission to be. Finally, you learnt that when leaving the job for any reason, all equipment you are working with must be isolated and the area left clean and hazard-free. Safety is a responsibility that must be shared by us all. Nobody acting irresponsibly can be a safe person. For this reason, we will refuse access to anyone under the influence of drugs or alcohol. And, if you just have a bad attitude, we shall also refuse you permission to be on site. Good housekeeping and working according to set procedures form the basis of pollution prevention and control. Reporting any contaminated storm or rainwater runoff urgently is a responsibility for all employees. Everyone can help to ensure that groundwater pollution and oil contamination of groundwater is prevented by the rapid containment and recovery of all spills and the timiest removal of sand which has been used to soak up spills from roadways. Rainwater on oil-soaked sand will eventually contaminate the stormwater. Please report these incidents as soon as possible to any permanent employee or supervisor to help reduce pollution. If someone is injured and you are appropriately trained, assist the person. Immediately notify the closest supervisor or any facility employee. If you have nothing to do with the accident, go back to work, or help to keep the site of the accident clear of spectators so that the paramedics have easy and clear access to the site. All injuries, no matter how minor, must be reported to your supervisor and the site medical clinic. Each of the 3 facilities has fully equipped medical clinics, staffed by senior, well-qualified medical personnel. The area safety officer may want to interview you. The reason for this is that he wants to find out why the injury happened and how to prevent it from happening again. Remember, it is your legal duty as an employee to report the accident as soon as possible, and by no later than the end of that current shift. Failure to report an accident or injury shall be seen as a serious offence. Remember, being safe at the 3 facilities means that everyone on these premises must be fully aware of the rules and regulations and must adhere strictly to them. Everyone must remember at all times to plan safely, think safety, and work safely according to the correct safety procedures and instructions. This will ensure that all who work and visit will remain safe in the Durban South Industrial Basin.